In Dry Creek, water was worth more than gold on some days. It fed cattle, cooled tempers, and kept businesses alive when the sun baked the land into cracked clay. That was why Abigail Hart paid close attention to the river that curved behind her saloon like a silent partner. The Blue Lantern had been built with purpose, close enough to the water to haul barrels, wash floors, and keep the kitchen running when others struggled. Abigail stood on the back porch that morning, sleeves rolled up, watching the current slide past the rocks. The river had always been hers, or at least that was how it felt. She'd fought for every board of the saloon, every permit, every bottle behind the bar. No man had handed her success. She'd claimed it. So, when she noticed a stranger pacing along the riverbank with measuring rods and stakes, her jaw tightened. He wasn't dressed like a rancher or a drifter. His boots were clean, his coat fitted, his movements precise. He knelt, scribbled in a leather-bound ledger, then stood again, studying the land like it was a puzzle waiting to be solved. Abigail descended the steps with purpose. "You planning to introduce yourself?" she called out. "Or just keep stealing glances at my river?" The man looked up, unfazed. His eyes were calm, assessing a sharp contrast to the irritation rising in her chest. "Levi Morgan," he said. "Territorial land surveyor." She crossed her arms. "That explains the measuring. Doesn't explain why you're on my land." Levi consulted his ledger. "According to official plats, this section of the riverbank falls under municipal access. Your property ends 30 feet back." Abigail laughed once, dry and sharp. "That's funny. This saloon's been drawing water from that river for 10 years, and not one official cared until today." "Then it was overlooked," Levi replied. "My job is to correct that." His tone wasn't smug. It was worse matter-of-fact. Abigail stepped closer. "You correct that, and you cripple half the businesses in this town, including mine." "I'm aware," he said. "That's why accuracy matters." Their eyes locked. Dust swirled around them, carried by a dry wind that mirrored the tension between them. To Abigail, he represented everything that threatened her independence paper laws written by people who didn't live here. To Levi, she was a complication in an already tangled assignment. "I'll be filing my report by week's end," Levi continued. "You're welcome to attend the town meeting if you have objections." "Oh, I'll have objections," Abigail said sweetly. "Plenty of them." As he gathered his tools and walked away, Abigail watched him go, irritation simmering beneath her skin. She had faced down creditors, gamblers, and gunslingers, but this was different. This was a man with authority, and the river, once steady and familiar, suddenly felt like contested ground. By sunset, the entire town knew about the surveyor. Speculation flowed faster than whiskey at the Blue Lantern. Ranchers worried about irrigation limits. Shop owners whispered about new fees. And Abigail listened to every word, polishing glasses while her mind churned. When Levi Morgan pushed through the saloon doors that evening, conversation dipped noticeably. He paused, clearly aware he'd entered unfriendly territory, then approached the bar with measured calm. Abigail met his gaze. "Didn't take you for the drinking type. Didn't take you for someone who backed down from a fight," he replied. She poured him a whiskey anyway. "Drink fast. You're not popular tonight." Levi lifted the glass. "I didn't come to be liked." Their conversation began. Like a duel, careful, deliberate, sharp-edged, he spoke of shared resources and long-term planning. She countered with lived experience, pointing out how laws rarely accounted for reality. "This town survives because people adapt," she said. "Not because someone draws lines on a map and it collapses when no one respects limits," Levi answered. "Water doesn't belong to the loudest voice." That stung more than she expected as the night wore on. The saloon filled with music and laughter, but the tension between them remained. Yet beneath the argument, something unfamiliar, stirred respect perhaps, or curiosity. When Levi finally left, Abigail found herself watching the door long after it closed. The Founder's Dance was the one night each year when Dry Creek pretended it was something more than a hard town scraping by on stubbornness and luck. Lanterns were strung from post to post along the main street, their warm glow softening the edges of weathered buildings. The town hall had been swept clean, its floor polished until it reflected the light like shallow water. Abigail Hart arrived with her usual confidence, but even she felt the weight of the evening. The Blue Lantern was closed early, her staff sent home with strict instructions to return tomorrow. Rested tonight mattered. Appearances mattered. And whether she liked it or not, Levi Morgan would be there. Levi stood near the edge of the hall when she entered, uncomfortable in a room full of laughter and perfume. He wasn't a man of social events. He preferred quiet mornings, clean measurements, and problems that could be solved with numbers. Yet when Abigail stepped inside, wrapped in a deep blue dress that caught the lantern light with every movement, his attention fixed on her despite himself. For a moment, neither spoke. "You look like you belong in a ballroom," Levi finally said. Abigail smiled, though her eyes remained cautious. "And you look like a man who's counting how many steps it'll take to escape." Before he could reply, the music began a traditional waltz, steady and inviting. The mayor announced the customary partner rotation, and as if guided by fate or mischief, Levi found himself standing before Abigail, hand extended. They moved awkwardly at first. Levi was careful, too careful, while Abigail danced with instinct rather than precision. But as the melody continued, something eased between them. Their steps aligned, their breathing slowed. Up close, Abigail noticed things she hadn't before: the faint crease between Levi's brows from years of concentration, the steadiness of his hands, the way his focus softened when he wasn't holding a ledger. Levi, in turn, saw past Abigail's sharp tongue. He noticed how she listened, how she adjusted her movements to match his, how her confidence came not from arrogance, but from survival. "You really believe this survey will help the town?" she said quietly. "I do," he replied, "but I'm starting to think it won't help unless people like you are part of it." The words surprised them both. When the music ended, neither stepped away immediately. Around them, laughter and applause erupted, but they stood still, caught in something neither had planned. That night, as the dance continued, their arguments faded into conversation. Not agreement, but understanding. And Dry Creek noticed. They didn't speak much after the dance, but neither could stop thinking about the other. The following evening, Levi found Abigail by the riverbank, behind the saloon, the water glowing silver under the moonlight. She didn't turn when she heard his footsteps. "You're going to tell me the town won't approve any changes," she said. "No," Levi replied. "I'm going to tell you I stayed up half the night, redrawing the survey." It got her attention. He explained his idea: carefully shared access points, scheduled usage, protections for businesses already dependent on the river. It wasn't perfect, it required compromise, but it was fair. "You'd risk your reputation for this?" Abigail asked. "I'd risk being wrong," Levi said. "I won't risk hurting a town, just to be precise." They walked together along the river, speaking more openly than they ever had. Abigail admitted her fear not of losing water, but of losing control. Levi admitted his own of chaos, of watching communities collapse because no one planned ahead. By the time they reached the bend in the river, where the current slowed, an agreement had formed, not just on paper, but between them. The next morning, they stood side by side at the town meeting. When questions came, they answered together. When doubts rose, they faced them calmly. The vote passed unanimously. Dry Creek exhaled. Life didn't change overnight, but it changed steadily. The river flowed freely under new rules. Barrels were filled without conflict, and ranchers found balance instead of rivalry. Levi extended his stay, then found excuses to keep extending it. There was always another boundary to review, another question to answer. And there was Abigail. They didn't rush. What grew between them? Evenings were spent talking on the saloon porch, listening to the river, learning each other's silences. Levi learned the rhythm of the blue lantern. Abigail learned the comfort of someone who planned for tomorrow. One night, the piano played the same waltz from the Founder's Dance. Levi stood, offering his hand. One more. Abigail took it without hesitation. As they danced, she rested her head briefly against his shoulder. "Funny," she said. "We started fighting over water, then ended up finding solid ground," he replied. The lanterns flickered. The river moved on. Some dances changed everything. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories.